I'm sure you read the title of this video and went, oh boy. Recently, the sealed game market has been in some real hot water. A lot of sketchy business practices from some of the biggest players in the market. A lot of probably definitely pyramid schemes from the companies that control the worth of these games. But that's actually not what I want to talk about today. Well, I might touch on it, but I want to talk about the concept of collecting and selling sealed games. And just so I can establish this right off the bat, I love video game collecting. I'm actually working on a video about my entire experience with the hobby in general, but trust me, I own a lot of video games. I would never begrudgingly judge someone for collecting something they like. I'm here to talk about and contest the idea that these sealed games are worth the value that they've been given, because holy moly, it's been getting out of hand. And I don't want people to prematurely get into this side of the hobby without fully understanding what it's really about. When it comes to collecting games, one of the biggest and most important aspects for many people, including myself, is the preservation aspect. Collecting these physical pieces of media comes with a sort of satisfying responsibility. You are helping to preserve these physical games and everything about them, either for yourself or for the community as a whole. And this is, regardless of your angle towards it, very important. I don't think many people argue this anymore, but games are pieces of art. But they're pieces of art with a time limit, more or less. Disk rot, PCB eroding, batteries dying, etc. And when it comes to things surrounding the games, making sure the box is in good condition, the inserts and manuals are accounted for and complete. Making sure these things exist and are in a condition that can be preserved if all else fails is important. It might not be 100% yours or honestly my reason for collecting these things, but it is very important. So for those unaware, there are kind of three tiers to a game's worth when it comes to retro games. There's a loose game, which is just the cartridge or disc. Not gonna lie, this is most of the time what I do actually. I like having the case and manual for disc games and mainly Genesis games, but NES, Super Nintendo, N64, Game Boy Advance, I don't really care. I have the game and that's what's important to me. Also, complete copies of games on systems that have cardboard boxes are getting kinda pricey. So yeah, then there's complete copies of games, usually coming with the game and all of its inserts. This is super important to preservation as well. Preserving the box and inserts are arguably more important than the game because the game itself can be backed up with its ROM, but those pieces of physical cardboard and paper, they could be scanned but not preserved the way it was supposed to be seen. I do have a few valuable complete games, mainly games that have a lot of meaning to me. I like to have those complete, feels good on my shelf. And I do want to stress that there will always be a more shallow, quote-unquote, reason for collecting. Not as heroic as preservation, I guess. I love having the games I love and being able to display them. Being able to have a big old shelf of plastic and copper and aluminum and whatever else PCBs are made out of. And of course, there are sealed games. Sealed meaning completely unopened. In the original shrink wrap, how you'd see it on a Toys R Us's wall. And once that sucker's shrink wrap is open, it's not sealed anymore. Sealed games are many times sold as graded, meaning a company, like Wata Games, has determined a 1 out of 10 rating on the game and its seal quality. This usually, as in always, changes the value as well. The market for these three tiers of retro games varies a lot, and there will be a lot of opinions on how much this stuff should be worth. But I think we've established that preservation is worth something, right? Don't think anyone's arguing that. So that being said, I want to give an example. A complete in-box, very good to perfect even copy of Mario 64, opened albeit, we'll say is worth somewhere between $300 and $400. That's some money, probably roughly 10 times the price of a loose copy. And yeah, you could argue that may be worth the price of that preserved game. Stuff like the box, the inserts, the game itself, and of course the rarity. There are a lot less boxed, good condition Mario 64s going around. So yeah, 10 times above the original game, which is a preserved piece in itself, may be worth it depending on who you ask. Personally, I think the value is there, but maybe not 10 times the amount. I think the most important aspect to a game is the game itself, but I get it. A sealed copy of Mario 64 though, what is being preserved there? The shrink wrap, for one, and maybe the idea of a working game in its inserts, sure. And of course, not many sealed copies of games exist anymore. Sure. Understandably more expensive in a way. But remember, you are missing the security and knowledge that a working copy of that game itself is being preserved. It isn't open. So how much more is a sealed copy? So Heritage Auctions sold Mario 64 for $1.5 million recently. That is 5,000 times more money than the complete in-box version. And yes, I know, there are factors that may have gone into that copy being sold, 1, it was probably part of Wada's pyramid scheme, and 2, it was a 9.8 grading. But what is a grading if you can't validate the game is even in there? Just the seal? Just making sure the shrink wrap looks nice? Wow. 5,000 times more money sounds like it's going to good use, huh? This is a pretty extreme example, but this is really just to show that the sealed game market isn't based on logical thinking or preservation. It's based on people with a lot of money trying to make a lot more money. It's taking advantage of the market that is sold on things being pristine and perfect, rather than the piece of media itself. Because at the end of the day, all a sealed game is worth is its arbitrary given value, and I guess the preserved shrink wrap. Once you open it, it's not considered sealed anymore. But once you open it, you are now preserving the game and its inserts. And I know many people will tell me, if it's sealed, that stuff is in there. Yes, most likely. I definitely believe there is a really good chance that all of that is in there. Basically, almost perfect chance. But what if it's not? What if it's a factory defect or something? Maybe like an X-ray machine could do that job? But the idea of a sealed game is that it's unopened. You will never know. Schrodinger's Mario 64 or whatever. And we're not talking chump change here. Is that really worth $1.5 million, you think? And yeah, I know $1.5 million is not the norm that sealed games are being sold for, but even looking at any random game being sold is usually worth significantly more sealed. But the point I'm trying to make is it's probably not worth that sealed. We are just told it's worth that sealed. And guess what? I own a sealed game. Yeah, one of my favorite games of all time, 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors, I have sealed. It's a fun novelty to own, one of my favorite games unopened. But it isn't graded, and I'm not worried about preserving the value on it. Because as soon as I feel I can't open this sealed game, is when I feel the game's lost all of its value for me. I feel the value and worth of a sealed game is completely based on an idea that the game has that value. And sure, the scarcity is a factor, but otherwise you are paying for what you are told is worth money, especially with the grading companies. These are completely arbitrary gradings on something as simple as the quality of the seal itself, determined by companies that have been proven to profit from that value, just saying. And like I said before, the main point of this is to show you it's gotten out of hand. For one, I just mentioned Mario 64 sold for $1.5 million. I've seen graded copies of Pokemon ROM hacks. I just saw about 20 copies of Paper Mario the Origami King trying to be sold for $200 each. Origami King, the game that you can go to your local Walmart and pick up sealed. What is the point? Just to make a few extra bucks? You're basically encasing these games in stone to be never opened, only to be traded and treated like investment pieces. I don't want to keep saying this, but games are made to be played. They're not preserving anything by keeping it sealed. It's an investment game. It always will be. It's an ego-boosting money game. I don't like it. And sorry, I didn't mean to get too ranty, but I think the market affects the casual side of the hobby as well. There are just so many rich people trying to make the market look more lucrative for people, causing more people to see the hobby as an easy, lucrative investment, obviously causing prices to rise and creating a more congested rat race. And if you think I'm being hyperbolic, can I point you in the direction of the guy on eBay who went to Walmart, bought up the entire stock of Paper Mario, and is having a field day right now? He's making it more difficult for people who just want to, buy the game and play it. And I know it's kind of the natural progression of so many collectibles, but it just kind of hurts to see a hobby get so investment focused. It's always been there, it's just way more prevalent now. And if you collect sealed games, I hate you, die. Just kidding. That's genuinely cool, and I'm sure you're just as frustrated as I am with the rise and craziness of it all. My advice to anyone eyeing up the sealed game market that is not just getting into it for investment reasons, consider just trying to get the best quality version in a complete copy instead. I just don't think the value is there for sealed games. Together we can destroy the established sealed game market and hopefully put Wada Games out of business. That'd be kind of cool, right? Either way, let me know what you think of the sealed game market. Do you own any sealed games? Do you care to? Would you break into Wada Games archives and have Christmas morning with their inventory? I know I would. In Minecraft, obviously. Like I said before, I am working on a video about my entire retro game hobby thing. It's been kind of in the process for a while, so I appreciate your patience. Not that you'd even know that you're waiting for that, but I have been having fun experimenting with some of these videos, seeing what sticks, what doesn't. I've actually gone through probably like 3 scripts, just trying to figure out what kind of video I want to make next. I will get something out soon. I know this one's a little short, but I do want to make something a little bit more substantial soon. We shall see. I appreciate everybody's support. I have been getting a lot of comments on my newer videos, and they all have been really awesome. This has been a lot of fun, and I want to continue doing it. It's something that I've always wanted to do for years, so it feels very good to finally sit down and have the ability to make video essays like this. So if you like it, let me know. Leave a like and subscribe for more, or just let me know if it sucks and what I can do better, because that also helps. But either way, thanks again. Until next time, hopefully I will be talking about retro games and how much I love this hobby and how much money I've spent on this hobby. Haha. I don't even know if I want to know that.